Hello, this is Mr. Mobility, and in this video I bring to you the Xiaomi Redmi Note 13 4G. Yes, these names are a mouthful. How are you supposed to remember that there is a Redmi Note 13 4G? There is a Redmi Note 13 4G Pro. There's a Redmi Note 13 5G. There is a Redmi Note 13 Pro 5G. And then there is a Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus. Even I, who's been reviewing phones for close to 2 decades, I still get tired of these complicated naming schemes. And it doesn't look like it's ever going to end. We've been complaining about these things for ages, but maybe these things actually cell phones, maybe there's a method to that madness that the brands are aware of and milking. It's okay. But this is the lowest model in the Redmi Note 13 series, right? So that's the way to remember this guy, the Redmi Note 13 4G. It's the lowest model in the series. There are 5 models. I have listed them. This guy is the entry-level model. And it has a 108 megapixel camera. Very interesting. There is an 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera. And then this little guy, the 2 megapixel guy. I do not know why anybody still includes 2 megapixel cameras in their phones. I guess to boost the specs so that you can say it's a triple camera phone. It has 3 cameras, but these 2 megapixel things pretty much are redundant these days. But everybody's playing the game, so Xiaomi is playing the game as well. You have a 2 megapixel camera right there at the back. The back is plastic, of course. The frame is plastic as well. It's a budget smartphone, so you're not expecting anything fantastic, but it looks good. It really looks good. I love it. There's a USB-C port. It has dual speakers, so there's a speaker grill at the top, there's another at the bottom, and there's a 3.5mm audio jack for those of you who still want to stick with wired headsets. The bezels are not unnecessarily thick. They are actually decent and elegant. I like how a little bit wider than normal the screen is. So this is not one of those phones that feels long and thin in your hand. I love phones that are shaped like this. I've always loved phones that are shaped like this. The edges are flat, so you can actually stand it on a platform. Just make sure the platform is completely flat, or else your phone will end up on the floor. Okay. Now, how is the experience with the Redmi Note 13 4G? It works. It works. It's a budget smartphone, actually closer to entry level. It's not exactly entry level, but in terms of price, it's leaning more in that direction. But it works well. This particular model has 6 GB of RAM and 128 GB of storage, and it has worked well since I have been reviewing it in the last 1 week, right? I've been with this for about a week. It works well. It's difficult to review phones these days if the phone doesn't have something outstanding about it, because at the end of the day, your summary is going to be that it works well. Okay, scratch that. It's difficult to review phones these days if the phone doesn't have an outstanding feature or a terribly bad feature, right? So if it has an outstanding feature, the reviewer is going to dance around that feature and talk about how that's fantastic and it is great and all that. And if it has a really bad side, something that doesn't work well there, I can focus on that and knock the phone pretty well. But when a phone simply just works well, it does what it's supposed to do, it does not give you any complaints, it does not give you any reason to be annoyed with it, it's pretty difficult to review. So the Redmi Note 13 4G does not support 5G networks. You know that from the name already, right? The screen is fairly large, 6.67 inches. It's bright, it's smooth, it does not feel cheap, it's well built. The only thing I'm going to say to you is that the cameras are good, but it's an entry-level phone. If you pay attention to the photography, lighting, position, etc., you'll get very good photos out of it. You're not going to get the most fantastic photos anywhere out of this device, but you get very good photos that you can use for most scenarios without running into any issues. It has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, 33 watt fast charge. I mean, that's not bad at all. 33 watts is quite fast, and I have charged this and seen it works well. Okay, like I mentioned, it has 6 gig of RAM, which is decent. It's much better than 4. 4 gig RAM phones are not as smooth as they used to be back in the day. So 6 gig RAM is good. If you can afford the version with 8 gigs of RAM, even better. I'd say go for that. Okay, apps run well. Pretty much anything you want to do with the phone runs smoothly. Nothing is annoying you out of the way. Nothing is, making you want to tear out your hair. It just works well. Oh, did I mention that it has IP54 splash protection? That means that if you are out and about and there's a light rain shower and some water splashes on it, you're safe. Or you're at home and something spills on it, just clean it and you're safe. This is not full water resistant, so don't drop it inside water, but it's protected from splashes. And I think that's really cool for a lower budget smartphone of this sort. It is really, really cool. Xiaomi has done something nice there. The screen also has Gorilla Glass 3, right? So there's some protection there should your phone have an appointment with the floor at any point in time. There's a measure of assurance. There are no phone screens that are totally unbreakable, but within reasonable circumstances, you get good protection from this. So what else do you want to know about this? The selfie camera is a 16 megapixel snapper. Like I said, it works well, right? It works well, nothing spectacular, but you'll get good shots if you pay attention to what you're doing with this camera phone. What else are you looking for in a budget smartphone? I really do think it's beautiful. I love beautiful phones. And I am a firm believer that just because a phone is budget or entry level doesn't mean it has to be drab. The Redmi Note 13 4G is not drab. On the software front, this guy still runs MIUI 14. HyperOS is said to be on the way for it at some point in time. So if you buy one, you'll eventually get upgraded to HyperOS. Not that there's much of a difference between MIUI. Okay, I call it MIUI. I have always called it MIUI, but I know that the more popular pronunciation is MIUI. So not that there's much difference between MIUI and HyperOS, if we're being sincere, as far as visuals and all that are concerned. Xiaomi says there are performance increases, there are optimizations behind the scenes. We believe them. I might get bored one day and decide to actually sit down and track those differences in performance and all that, and then let you know whether those claims are true or not. But for now, we believe them. We believe that HyperOS comes with more optimizations, better performance, and better everything that you're looking for. Some of the responses to the HyperOS videos I have put on YouTube say that it's no better. There are complaints. Of course, there are always complaints when there's a software update. That does not necessarily mean the software is not better. Time will tell. We'll see how things go. But in the meantime, if you were thinking whether this was a good choice for a lower budget smartphone, it is an extremely good choice. It works. It does what has been advertised, and I can't recommend it enough. I really can't recommend it enough. It's a beautiful phone. It's handy, it's lightweight, does fast charging, dual SIM, dual speakers, which makes it sound much better than most phones in its price bracket. Then IP54 splash protection. It's a good one. So, how much does the Redmi Note 13 4G cost? As at the time of launch, 208,500 naira for the 6GB RAM, 128GB storage variant, and then the price goes up from there depending on which model and which variant you want to buy. For example, if you want the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, which is the highest model in the Redmi Note 13 series, you're going to need to shell out between 550,000 and 650,000 naira. Did you ever think that you'd find a Redmi phone in that price range? But that's what we're dealing with now, thanks to current economic situations. So if you live outside Nigeria, the prices will still make sense to you and you wouldn't feel like running away when you hear them. Redmi Note 13 4G. Did I mention that the fingerprint scanner is in the display? Many other manufacturers still put their fingerprint in the power button at this price range, but here it's actually in the display. I like it. That's the natural position for your thumb when you're holding a phone, right? You know, you're holding it. The side thing, your thumb actually has to travel to reach the fingerprint scanner on the side. I'm all for side fingerprint scanners disappearing, and let's keep everything in the display. So that's it on my Redmi Note 13 4G review. Just go buy it. It's good. It's a budget smartphone, so you are not expecting the best performance in the market. You're not expecting wow features. You're not expecting fantastic camera, but everything works as it should on this phone, and that is good enough for me, and that's good enough for any mobile user out there. I'll see you again in my next video. Do not forget to like this video, follow my channel, turn your notifications on, and let's keep rocking. I'll see you again soon.